Jennifer Clough. I was answering a question of a novice flute teacher on the net. And she was teaching a novice who had had band for 2 years and still couldn't read music, still couldn't make a tone, and still couldn't remember fingerings. And I thought it would be easier to talk about how to run a lesson like that. We get a lot of novices who supposedly have played the flute for 2 years but can't hold it properly yet. They have been rushed through some band class and they really haven't had any instruction whatsoever. And so they're wrestling with the flute and they have to play, like, I don't know, 16th notes up to 3 ledger lines, and they're falling completely behind, and everything they're doing is basically wrong. Even the way they're practicing is wrong. So I want to sort of go through what would you teach in the first 10 to 20 lessons. I'm going to rush through it for the sake of the video, and this is aimed at the novice teacher who needs more experience in these things. You would pace it according to the student. The student may have a learning disability for all we know, and so you teach a little tiny bit, let them have a success, and then build on the success with fun stuff. So keep it fun, keep it light, but here's the basic information that you're trying to put across. Now, the remedial band student has, like I said, been rushed into putting the flute together properly, or improperly for that matter, not with any time to explore where the flute actually belongs on the body. And this is why they're having most of their problems, okay, let alone the breathing and everything else. So you really have to take them back to the head joint only. But they won't want to go back, so you make it interesting. You point out, the very first thing I point out to anybody who's starting the flute, something that's often overlooked. On the head joint, if you look at the chin plate, there is a smile. And you say, you see this smile? This smile belongs under your own smile. It goes on your chin. This is the chin plate. Now, that smile, when it's in the right position, will give you the best flute tone. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a whole bunch of experimenting with placing the smile under the chin. Now, I do have a handout that's written by Mary Byrne that explains all the pointers that you would go through on a first lesson about this, so I'll put a link to that back on my blog. But you want to place the smile successfully, and Mary Byrne has it as a repeating thing. Like, if you can get a noise from placing the smile, which, you know, most remedial novice students would be able to, you then get them to put the flute head joint all the way down and back again and try and find that sound right away. This is developing the sensitivity to the traction of the silver against the skin of the chin. And the general feeling is that the nerves are waking up in the chin so that they have a flush approach. The skin is absolutely flush against the lip plate. I guess one of the things this is overcoming is sometimes they look at the flute as an object they have to apply their face to. And they're kind of making this whistling face and trying to perch it on the flute. By working with the head joint only and with the smile on the chin as the tactile point of sensitivity, you can do all the regular head joint games, but their sensitivity is growing more and more astute. So now the typical beginner head joint games are, you know, getting a repeatable sound and then adding, you know, putting the hand across the end to get the low sounds, which of course sounds a lot better to them. And the finger being inserted, don't get it stuck, use a little finger if you have big fat fingers. The slide. So you can play around with all those things and say, hey, do you know all these tricks? You know, band camp stuff, right? But there's so much more you can do with a novice band player. You can do tonguing. You can do vibrato, the beginnings of vibrato, which is breath pulsing. You can do rolling in and out to ascertain the difference between a windy sound and a covered sound. And you can point out the fact that when you're right in the middle, that what's holding you in the middle is the tactility of the chin skin flush against the plate. So there's about 101 things that you can do with a head joint, and I always want to say something like, well, I've got maybe 28. If you can add 3 and every future student can add 3, there's a lot more things you can do with a head joint. But I was sitting here fooling around with it, and there are a ton of things you can do with a head joint if you can make it fun enough for the student. Okay, stage 2, with the foot joint still off. This is called right hand on the barrel. This will happen at any point during the first 10 lessons. And right hand on the barrel basically allows the student to only have to operate a few keys. And you can be focusing on breathing, tone, tonguing, any number of things with right hand on the barrel. But basically that palm is facing away, and it grabs the barrel, and it again puts the smile on the chin, and then you operate on the simplest possible number of notes to start. It is review, but the novice student will think that this is quite novel, this right hand on the barrel, and it'll feel a lot more stable than it did to them before. So you might be able to carry this quite a way. I'm going to just show this, of course, G, A, B, C, and then the overblowing of those notes. And you can do everything from tonguing to vibrato to rolling in and out on the chin until they find the middle. You can work looking in the mirror, both with head joint only and with right hand on the barrel, for the shape of the lips in the mirror. And you can add B flat and A flat. And you can play melodies, of course, in either G major or in C minor. But what you've eliminated is the problem of the flute tilting when the thumb comes off for C, and having that stability is going to be a new sensation for these kids. So in the next video I'll show right hand on the barrel changing to the next stage, which is still foot joint off, but adding F and E, which also work with the foot joint off. So we'll see you on the next video. I hope this helps. Hope this helps.